a lifeless game for the Red Sox last night, which I think is the most alarming part. Didn't they just look like a dead-ass team in that game last night?
Oh, yeah, you want to turn it off right away.
That had to give Milliken a sinking feeling.
The product on the field is not the story for them right now.
Holy crap.
And they know it.
It was extremely depressing, and I think you look at Lucas Giolito going out there and all the positives, the good things you saw in that first start, there was really not a single positive in what you saw yesterday. 72 of his 74 pitches were the four-seam fastball or the changeup. The fastball was sitting 91.5 miles per hour, and yes, it was cold. But you saw a guy who was
It wasn't that cold.
No, but still, I'm not telling you to feel good about it. This is bad because you saw what everyone was so concerned about with Giolito during his time in the minors. He threw one curveball and one slider yesterday. The one slider was in that first inning on the wild pitch. He never went back to it after that. So guess what? What do you think happens in the fourth inning when the lineup flips? They know it's fastball or changeup. And in that first start, yes, he had the extra velocity getting up to 96, but he was dotting everything. It was perfect command. You saw what it looks like.
And the pitch framing.
Yeah, the pitch framing was very good. And you saw when you aren't able to hit your spots and do that, he was absolutely cooked, and the Rangers were waiting on him. That lineup is better than being 27th in all of baseball in OPS, but they have sucked so far this year, and they absolutely just mauled him.
Just fired their offensive coordinator and looked like that. Yeah, that's a frustrating loss last night.
I think it's more. I think it needs to be stronger than saying frustrating.
No, that's not a frustrating loss.
That's kind of an alarming one.
Yeah.
Giolito,
I'm with him on that.
Giolito may not be very good, which was always our fear, as Milliken mentioned. And in addition to that, they look dead.
Lifeless.
Whose fault's that?
Lifeless performance.
It was the same two guys that have really been the only consistent performers on this team. Alex Bregman and Christian Campbell. Those are the only guys who showed up, and they got you that one run you had. But it was 6 hits. Your offense, you never had any hope. And this offense is supposed to be one of the best in all of baseball, that they were going to come back over the course of that game. Hell, they punted. The minute you saw Bernardino come in, you know Newcomb was going to come in right after him and eat it.
I'm going to be honest with you. Another couple of bad weeks here for this team, and you've got to start thinking about what you're going to do to spark them.
Huh.
You have the solution. That's what's so frustrating.
No. It's not a player he's talking about.
No, I know what
he's talking about.
No, you're either talking roster changes, or you're talking about doing what underperforming teams do in all of sports and in baseball. And that is you pull the ripcord and you fire the manager.
Yeah, you've been saying that.
Because I have to be honest with you. The investment they've made in this roster monetarily, they should not want to see it go to waste.
It's way outside their comfort zone, and it's not being justified right now.
Okay, so you could definitely blame Cora here. You could also blame the front office for allowing this Devers thing to fester for 4 months now. So if you're a player going in, what time do they get there? 5 hours earlier? Get there, do your workouts? They're sitting in the clubhouse looking at Devers, probably going, did he take ground balls at first yet? Did they talk about it? Did they ask him?
He's eating again.
Why does he look heavy? Why does he look, you know what I mean? Aren't you worried about if you're a player going in there, like, who the hell's playing first?
It's just we can't have a conversation about it. That's where we are. We can't even talk with Rafael Devers and just have a convo. We can't sit there and say, hey, what do you think of this? Is there any interest or any kind of feelings you have? The fact that you can't even do that tells you how poor the communication is between him and Devers at this point, and that goes back to how you handled things over the offseason.
Talked about the Raffy first base thing the other day. Have you had any conversations with him about it?
No.
Don't plan to?
No.
Sounds like Devers.
So
are you gonna play third? No.
I heard that last night, and I kind of come over to what you were throwing out there yesterday, Beetle, which is I think there was a conversation and it didn't go well, and now they're kind of covering for that because otherwise there really is no explanation to not even bridge that if you're Cora.
And at this point, then they're turning it all on Devers and saying either he needs to come up and ask or it did happen and we're going to pretend like it didn't.
Yes.
But one way or the other, he's going to be asked and he's going to have to answer the question. It's going to come whether it's tonight or the next night. He can't run from the media forever. There's going to be truth that comes from this.
No.
And then even at that point, if you can't convince the player, Alex Cora, even if Rafael Devers wasn't able to agree to it like he did with DH, that's also a bad look on Devers, of course, but also a bad look on a manager who's supposed to be so highly regarded for what he's able to do with players and getting them to buy in and do all that.
It is interesting, McCone. So, say this did happen, and they asked him, and he said no. That's kind of one of the reasons you show up last night. Like, yeah, we have no chance without him going to first. That's how you get a malaise with the players. That's a distraction. This is a distraction. one way or another. Even if you won 5 out of the last 6, this would still be a distraction. Because you're still going to be talking about what's it going to look like moving forward. Do we have to make more moves? They got to go put Devers on first.
Now, just saying no might work for a couple of days,
Yes.
but we're now past that point because this happened on Saturday. It's now, Friday night,
yeah.
and it started on Saturday. We're now at Wednesday, and this is still going on.
Have you had any conversations with him about it?
No.
And at some point,
Don't plan to?
No.
at some point, this doesn't work anymore because the story will get out that they asked Devers and he told them no.
They'll put it out. When they
Okay.
start getting crushed, they'll put it out.
So then, in addition to looking like a liar, right, the team will again look gutless. Like they did the first go-round with Devers this offseason. They looked gutless then. They look gutless now. And I'm not saying Devers is right because he's wrong too.
Yeah.
They all look so bad. But okay, let's move on from it, right? Let's move on from this particular issue and say, what is that a sign of? What is that a sign? And how much faith can you have in this team to be a contender and win at a high level, make the playoffs and win playoff games if they can't even be bought in enough to get Devers to play some first base? And he's not bought in enough. The guy who is the best player on the team, he's the best hitter on the team,
Yeah.
and makes the most money on the team. If that guy's not buying in and the manager can't help him find his way to buying in,
You're cooked.
well, then this team is totally hosed, and they're going nowhere, and we're going to watch the same thing play out with the 2025 Red Sox that we saw play out in 2024 and 2023, and here they are again stuck at being somewhere around 500 under Alex Cora.
No, it just ties into what you're talking about. If you have Alex Cora and he can't navigate this situation with Rafael Devers in first base, and
Why is he
so
here?
then why is he your manager?
Why is he the
anymore?
manager? Why do you need him? Forget it. Blow him out. Bring somebody else in who walks through the door and says, I have no history with you, Rafi. I don't know what the hell went on here, but I need you to go play first base. So that's where you're going to go play. Get out there, work it out. We're going to see what you look like there. Go ahead.
You either
And that's it.
Yeah.
when Cora and Devers had this situation over the offseason, you either damage things to the point where he told you he didn't want to do it and you can't convince him, or Cora is so scared of the damage they did that he won't do it himself. And either way, that is a horrendous look for the manager himself. There's no other way you can frame that. And yes, it's bad for Devers, but one way or the other, Cora can't get him to do what he needs to do.
Why are you walking on
That's
eggshells?
why you have him.
Why are you walking on eggshells with this player?
Exactly.
Well, and again, if you are walking on eggshells, then you should have known that that's sort of the mentality of the player going into this offseason and not gone about everything the way that you did with him and really baby him throughout that offseason and not have a situation where it grows. Like, either way, you mismanage this thing entirely if you're the Red Sox and if you're Alex Cora.
Feels like you have no communication skills. The job of the manager is to keep everything rolling.
It's starting to impact them on the field, too. They
Feels
don't
like
look like a good
Yeah.
team. They don't look like they've got it. All the worst fears about this season have started to kind of creep in. Kevin Millar last night on the broadcast was talking about playing some first base. He's a guy who knows what it's like.
I
to
mean,
play
that
first
broadcast
base.
was something last night. They were beating you over the head with anyone can play first base.
great.
It was crazy.
It was wonderful. And we'll hear some of it. We have a lot of it that we want to play. It was that good. You should hear it in case you missed it.
Ortiz played first base.
God.
Like, he's a big guy that can't move.
Nesson doing a hell of a job. Great job, Nesson. Tip of the cap. What?
Just a great job, Nesson. You don't say that much.
No, but I think we're fair.
Yeah.
I think we're fair. When you do a good job, we say you do a good job. When you're a bunch of honks, we say you suck. We do it about NBC Sports Boston, too. We
Oh,
do
I've
it about the
honked out.
station we're on.
We just killed them. For
We
their-
just killed the Celtics bride. We do it all the time. Here's something you don't hear on Nesson. You don't hear that over there.
Now you maybe stop saying
All
we.
right, good job, Nesson. At least you instructed your pre and post guys to not say the we thing. Say hello to your new first baseman of the Boston Red Sox. Him and Romy Gonzalez.
Exciting.
Woo! That's how they're going to go about solving their first base issue.
You know, and that's the worst part of this, too, because, like, they kind of got the fans back at the beginning of the year. You know, the moves they made, the way they looked early. Looked like they were going to score a ton of runs. You had good pitching. And it feels like here we are. After just 1 month. 1 month. And you feel like this. Under 500. Milliken, how do you feel about him? Like, seriously. Like,
very disappointing. I don't know how you frame it any other way. And I think the schedule is the biggest thing you keep going back to. You should not be at a spot like this where you've played 6 teams above 500 and you're below 500 as a baseball team. This is a team that ESPN and MLB.com had winning the pennant, the American League. And here you are. You're lucky that the American League as a whole, but especially the East, has been as pathetic as it is because you're still 2.5 games within first place. But these signs of a team that aren't good and important in clutch situations, that don't have a ton of fight, that just struggle to be consistent in every aspect of the game, how do you have confidence that they're going to take a major leap forward right now? You shouldn't.
I don't, and I can't envision a scenario in which they're playing in the ALCS or World Series now. At the start of the year, I could. I can't anymore. That ship has sailed, unfortunately.
All those teams that make it that distance, like they had a bunch of like good role players and good leadership. Again, I keep saying, like, it doesn't feel like they have good leadership.
Well, they have multiple contributors, and they also have an ability to know how to win games, which is that clutch thing that they lack. But when it comes to this first base situation, it highlights all of these problems for the team in terms of the DNA, the makeup of the team. Last night on the broadcast, we continue to get hammered over the head with anybody can play first base, including that guy in the clip, Toro. Let's hear it, T-Bone. Let's play it.
Okay, we've talked a lot about it, both Lou Maloney and I, and we'll continue to talk about first base. Rafael Devers seems to us to be a very obvious candidate. Right now, the Red Sox are not even approaching that as a possibility. What are your thoughts on it?
Listen, you slide over. It's a new glove. I hand him a glove, and I say, here, you're going to play first base now. It's what we're losing, I think, is that we're employees of these organizations, right? We have gotten caught up in, I think, a little bit worrying about, like, how we're going to look or whatever. And I'm just speaking in general, this isn't Rafi specifically, but I'm telling you, in players, like, maybe I'm going to be embarrassed or maybe I'm not going to look good. Hey, dude, it doesn't matter. Kyle Schwarber went over here with Boston, and he didn't know anything about first base. And he went out there for 2 days, took some ground balls, and was playing first base in big leagues. Mike Napoli almost turned himself into a gold glove first baseman. We've talked about examples. I mean, it's what you do. Sometimes you get strapped as a unit. There's injuries, there's stuff, and you just move around. Mookie Betts has signed a $360 million contract. Has played second, short, right field. Cody Mel, you can sit here and go all the way through. Vladimir Guerrero went from third.
04, you played like 5 positions.
At the third, I'm not saying I'm even talking about embarrassing watching me field and throw to first or play right field with my arm and my speed. It's what you do. When your manager asks you to do something, if that was to occur, you do it. You fear your manager as a player. That's your boss. That's authority. I just think that as a group, whoever's in charge of the group, if it's policing our own dugouts as a group, or someone doesn't run the ball out, but you just say, dude, here you go, you're playing first. That's all we do. It doesn't have to be a 3-week, go to structural league, and 17 coaches showing me how to step and stride. It flows. And there's weeks you don't even get a ground ball. You play catch. Playing first base, playing catch. You get a, throw from the shortstop, first baseman. And you'd be amazed, it could be a gold glove first baseman if Rafi was to play first. Vladimir Guerrero's turned himself into a good first baseman.
He's a
third baseman. There is an ability, if your manager or organization says, you're my first baseman today and your name's in that 1B, you take it with an awesome attitude and you go out there and you play 1B. And that's the way I feel.
I think the reality is that no matter
Let's pause for a moment.
Whoa,
Let's pause. Let's hit the pause button
Like
here.
a talk show.
Tremendous stuff.
I agree.
Millar's done it. He's like, what?
Yeah, he's
Millar
moved around.
thinks this is as stupid as the rest of us think, right?
Not Brzezinski.
Millar thinks this is as ridiculous and stupid as everybody on the outside looking into this team believes it is, which is why don't you just have this guy go play first? Plug him in your lineup. It opens up more things for your team. It might unlock the ability to add another bat into your lineup every night. What are you doing, dummies?
Yeah, he's talking about.
Millar feels the same way.
You're the boss. Make a decision. It's
Dave
almost
O'Brien.
like he's calling out Cora, like run out of ground ball. It's like they don't have again that leadership thing.
Dave O'Brien's like, it's obvious. What are we doing here? It seems like an obvious choice. And Millar saying, when are we going to remember that these guys are employees of the team?
He's right.
You have a boss like everybody else. We all have a boss. You listen to your boss. They tell you what you're going to do. It's not like you're not being properly compensated for it. Go do this. This is what we're paying you now to do.
Unless you have a guy that you don't feels like your boss.
Bingo. Or the boss has no balls or is avoiding confrontation. That too.
So you have
you can go weeks without a ground ball at first. You don't think about it that way. But Millar knows it from playing it.
Yeah, because he's done it.
You play catch. Just go over there and play catch.
You don't have to make any throws, like rarely.
See, those two guys are former grinders, though, so they have like a different outlook. What if it was like a bona fide superstar that was in the booth?
But even then,
saying
it's
you can't hold your superstar to that.
It's Vlad Guerrero.
He just named one.
It's
Yeah.
Albert
I
Pujols,
know
Miguel
that, what I'm
Cabrera. There's like so many examples of guys just to try it. No one's saying it's going to work. If it looks horrendous, okay, but not to try it.
Do you think it'll work, by the way? We haven't really discussed that. I think it'll work and he'll be great.
Absolutely.
I think he could be great at it.
I have some concerns, but I'm willing to try it. I'm not 100% he's going to be elite, and maybe he ends up being that just because we've seen in his career when he makes errors, they happen in bunches, and it kind of gets in his head. That worries me with the first baseman a little bit and some of the athleticism and the stretches there, but try it. Why can't you try it? He's still 28 years old. If there's ever an opportunity or a lane for it, it's right now.
See, I think the issues that sort of plague him at third are not issues that will plague him at first.
Yeah, you don't have to make the throw.
Yeah, it's not about the throw. It's not about getting the ball out of the glove.
Rounders.
It's not about...
9 of his 12 errors last year weren't throwing errors.
Okay.
So that will help him at first, right? Because you're not going to get more ground balls than you get at third.
So
Does that make sense?
He's saying that they're
hold on.
fielding errors.
But
Yeah.
but I get what you're saying with that. But there's kind of a problem in that the mental part of that sometimes catches a guy in the field is advancing mentally to the throw.
Yes.
So like, yeah, I get what you're saying that it wasn't a throwing error in which he missed the throw. It's that when the throw is on your mind,
Right.
it's the thing that leads to the fielding error. Like there's a mental process there that you botch something in the field because you were mentally onto the throw. So they are connected.
But
I know that analytics doesn't account for those things because analytics is just like what happened.
Robots
the ball
don't do
skipped
that.
off his
Right.
glove. Yeah, well, the ball skipped off his glove because he was already he had gotten ahead of himself.
Yeah, you got a fast runner, and maybe you got a slow runner. So he's
Bingo.
trying
Yes,
to periph
Exactly.
that.
All right,
Yeah,
I gotta make this.
Yeah.
I gotta make this play quick.
You got to make it fluid. I got to rush this throw. Yeah, that's all in play. You're right. Analytics can't evaluate.
It doesn't account for that.
Even still,
Stats-
though, no matter what you think the ceiling is, the truth is it just makes the most sense. Even if he's mediocre to a little bit below mediocre. Tristan Casas, below mediocre as a defender this year and last year throughout his career. So cool. We just need you to go there so we can have more roster flexibility, whether it's for Massa or Yoshida. At the end of the day, Devers is the best hitter on the team. That's not going anywhere unless he gets hurt, which is the one thing the Red Sox did echo so much when they took away his glove. We cared about keeping him healthy. That's my biggest fear. Does he get hurt and he can't hit? Too bad. You're in a situation now where you have to risk it.
Just as likely to get hurt hitting than he is playing first base. You're just as likely to get hurt running the bases as you are playing a position.
So you're gonna let that ride until you're
Yes.
500 in a month, and you
Right.
should have moved them. Yeah, do it now.
How long are you going to let this go on? I want to blame somebody. It's either Cora or Devers. Right now, I'm blaming both. With more information, maybe we can narrow it down. But right now, it's both of them. Hey, let's grab your calls on this. Coming up next, and don't forget at 11:50, we're checking in. We're getting a live update from the conclave, which is being broadcast live on television right now still. There's still a lot going on that you're able to see. When do they?
I was going to say, when do they go into the
shut
room?
the cameras
This
off?
is all access, huh?
Right at the moment, it is.
The Hard Knocks, yeah.